Today, we present to you a new, exciting, and inspiring story from #channel, Stories from Reality. Here is the story of Prophet Ayub, Job, peace be upon him, as mentioned in the Holy Quran and the authentic Sunnah. Here is a glimpse of it. Let's dive into the story of this great prophet, a story of patience, supplication, and relief after distress. The beginning, blessing and test. In the land of Hauran, between the Levant and Jordan, lived the prophet of God, Ayub, peace be upon him. He was no ordinary prophet, he was an example of complete servitude to God. The Almighty says, "And remember our servant Job, when he called to his Lord, indeed, Satan has touched me with hardship and suffering." Sad 38:41. Ayub, peace be upon him, was a man of wealth and goodness. God provided him with times abundant wealth, thousands of livestock, camels, cattle, sheep. Times vast land yielding abundant goodness. Times a large family, a righteous wife, his companion, and many children. But his greatest wealth was his strong health and a sound body that knew no illness. He was famous among his people for his generosity and charity, never turning away a needy person nor being stingy to a poor one. The greatest test, losing everything in hours. Here came the divine test, not as a punishment, but as an elevation in ranks and a test of the sincerity of faith. In a day and a night, Ayub, peace be upon him, lost everything. 1. Loss of wealth, his livestock burned or died. 2. Loss of children, the roof collapsed on his children, and they all died in an instant. 3. Loss of health, this was the hardest test. Ayub, peace be upon him, fell, bedridden. He was no longer that strong man, his body became a breeding ground for diseases. His flesh fell off, his companions deserted him, and nothing remained with him except a believing heart and a loyal wife. Commentators differed on her name. The most famous opinions are Rama or Leah. The scene of patience, the prophet and the loyal wife. Imagine the scene. Times Ayub in unbearable pain, his body covered with sores and boils, with worms emerging from it, yet his tongue remained moist with the remembrance of God, praise be to God in all circumstances. Times his wife, an example of loyalty, served him and worked in people's houses, as a maid, to feed him and take care of him. She endured poverty and illness with him, without complaint or despair. In an authentic narration, the people abandoned them out of fear of the disease's contagion, even expelling them from the village, forcing him to lie on a rubbish dump outside the town, while his wife came and went to serve him. This test lasted for 18 years, as mentioned in some accounts. The climax of the story, the eternal call and Lord, adversity has touched me. Ayub remained patient, content with God's decree, complaining not to people, but only to his Lord. In a moment of extreme distress, he remembered his duty, and called upon his Lord with his immortal supplication mentioned in the Quran. Indeed, adversity has touched me, and you are the most merciful of the merciful. Al-Anbiya 21:83. He did not ask his Lord for immediate healing, rather, he called upon the most merciful of the merciful, appealing to the divine attribute of mercy. The response and relief, strike the ground with your foot. God responded to the supplication of his patient servant. The Almighty says, so we responded to him and removed what afflicted him of adversity. And we gave him back he his family and the like thereof with them as a mercy from us and a reminder for the worshippers. Al-Anbiya 21:84. And imagine the miracle. God called to him, "Strike the ground with your foot. This is a spring for a cool bath and drink." Sad 38:42. So he struck the ground with his foot as his Lord commanded him, and a cool spring of water gushed forth. God commanded him to wash in it to be healed from his skin diseases, and to drink from it to purify his interior. Times washing. As soon as he washed his body, it returned stronger and healthier than before, free from all pain or sores. Times drinking. His energy and internal strength returned to him, returning stronger than before, and we gave him his family and the like thereof with them. Not only was Ayub, peace be upon him, healed, but God restored to him everything he had lost and more. Times his health was restored, and he became stronger and more handsome. Times God restored his family, his children, to him as promised in the verse. Scholars interpreted this in two ways. 1. God revived them for him by a miracle. 2. God compensated him with new, righteous children like those he had lost in addition to them, so he had double the number. Times God restored his wealth and livestock, multiplied. Thus, life returned to Ayub and his loyal wife, not only with greater blessings but with greater patience and faith. Lessons learned from the story, as mentioned in the Quran and Sunnah. 1. Patience does not mean passivity. True patience is patience with supplication and resorting to God, as Ayub did. 2. Loyalty in hardship. The role of the righteous wife was pivotal in the story. She is an example of patience and loyalty. 3. No one despairs of relief from God except the disbelieving people. No matter how severe the hardship, God's relief is near. 4. The test is a sign of God's love, meaning that God tests the believer with hardships not as a punishment, but because he loves him and wants to elevate his ranks, purify his soul, and make him an example for others in patience. 5. The supplication of the distressed, the supplication of one who reaches the peak of distress is inevitably answered. And God knows best. If you liked the video, support us with a like, share, and follow to help us continue. Production and execution: Ahmed Dawood.